Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. In today's episode, we're going to continue our look at the Negro slash Latin American baseball cards that were produced from the 1910 to early 1950s era. So we're working alphabetically with the cards. We're still on the C's. Today, we're going to cover one or two Hall of Famers. So those are going to be key cards to look out for. As usual, I'm going to read you a brief player biography before I start showing all the cards that exist for that player. I'll show you images from my Negro League Baseball Collectibles Guide that I produced back in 2014. So the first player we're going to look at today is Rogelio Crespo. Crespo Negro League career spanned from 1918 to 1933. He was a middle infielder, so he played both second base, shortstop, and third base. His main time with the Negro Leagues was spent with the Cuban Stars from 1918, and then again from 26 to 27. Also played for the Gilkerson's Union Giants from 21 to 25 and 1932 to 33. So the infielder played intermittently with the Cuban Stars, both in the Eastern Colored League and when they were operating as an independent team between 1918 and 1933. Considered a solid hitter and all-around good ball player, the infielder could play almost any position, but played primarily second base, with some time at third base. In 1921, he began playing with Gilkerson's Union Giants and barnstormed through the Midwest, often playing against Hapfelsch, Swede-Risberg, and other outlawed players from the 1919 Black Sox World Series team. Crespo was born in Cuba, so not only did he spend his many years in the U.S. Negro Leagues, but also played almost every winter back in his homeland during Winter League seasons. And the cards we're going to look at is going to be from that era. So Crespo, first cards we're going to look at today, looks like we've got three of them. They're all from the same time frame, same season. So we've got three cards. They're all 1923 to 24. The first card is going to be the 23-24 Beacon. Beacon was a tobacco company in Cuba that put out a set of cards during that 23-24 season. That was the only year Beacon produced tobacco cards. This one pictures Crespo. It's got his name on the bottom in the border. The Beacon set was real photographs developed on the cards, black and white images, and very rare, very tough to find. We've looked at a number of these from this set already. Populations on these are typically in the 5 range, sometimes a little more, a little bit less. But the first, Rogelio Crespo, 1923-24 Beacon. Okay, next Crespo we're going to look at, we've got two here side by side, and it appears they're exactly the same image on two different cards. So the first one is a 1923 to 24 Nacionales. That's the one with the black or dark brown borders. Again, this is a real photographic image developed on the cardstock. Nacionales, again, another tobacco brand from Cuba. These are also about equally as rare as the Beacons. And Crespo's pictured there. It's got his last name and his position just below his portrait there, just below the center of the card. And next to that one, we've got his other card, which is another 23-24 from Cuba. This one is the Tomas Gutierrez Rogelio Crespo. Tomas Gutierrez was produced by another tobacco company called Diaz Cigarettes. And Diaz Cigarettes would put out a U.S. MLB card set in 1924 as well. The unique thing with that set was every card produced in the set was a Major League Baseball pitcher. So for whatever reason, they did not print any everyday players. It was strictly pitchers only in that Diaz U.S. set. But the 23-24 Tomas Gutierrez had all the ball players from Winter League ball in Cuba that year. Crespo played for the Marianao team, which is one of the four Winter League clubs in Cuba at that time. About equally as rare as the Nacionales and the Beacon. So populations on these probably somewhere in the five to 10 range. Okay, next player we're going to look at is George Crowe. Crowe was a U.S. born Negro League player. His Negro League career was a shorter one, so that spanned from 1947 to 1949. However, Crowe would play in the major leagues for several years after his Negro League days. So Crowe kind of came along at a good time where integration was just about starting to happen. So as a youngster, he began his career in the Negro Leagues, but his peak seasons, he was actually playing in Major League Baseball. So Negro League days first, New York Black Yankees, 1947 to 49, and New York Cubans from 48 to 49. So he shared time with a couple of different clubs during a couple of those seasons. He played in the U.S. minor leagues from 1949 to 52, and again in 61. And he played in Major League Baseball from 1952 to 1960. So the big hard-hitting first baseman hit 305 as a rookie with the New York Black Yankees in 1947. He was a holdout the following year, didn't sign a contract. 1949, he entered organized ball with Pawtucket in the New England League. U.S. batted .354 with a league-leading 106 RBIs. The next two seasons, he played at Hartford in the Eastern League and led the league in batting with .353. Runs, hits, doubles, and blasted 24 home runs and 122 RBIs. 1951, he advanced to the American Association with Milwaukee and hit .339 with 24 home runs and a league-leading 119 RBIs, while also leading the league in hits and doubles. Another good start at Milwaukee in 1952. He finally made it to the major leagues with the Braves and played 9 years in the major leagues, 3 each with the Braves, Reds, and Cardinals. He moved with the Braves to Milwaukee in 1953, then was traded to the Reds in 56, enjoying his best major league season in 57 when he hit .270 with 31 home runs. So George Crowe had a pretty brief Negro League career, but some significant time in Major League Baseball, including that last 30 home run season that I mentioned. So one of the bigger African American stars that came along right after integration began. So Crowe, we have two cards to look at. And I think they're both the same image. But maybe not. They're two different uniforms. So either the uniform was doctored up or possibly it's just a different pose. So the first one we're going to look at here, Crowe is in the red and white uniform. It's 1950 to 51 Toleteros. So this was the Puerto Rican Winter League series. Toleteros put cards out in 3 different seasons. They did 48-49, 49-50, and 50-51. So this would be the last of the 3 issues. The last issue was done in color. The first 2 issues were black and white. So this one identifies Crowe at the bottom of the card in the border there. Otherwise, a nice color image of George. And the Toloteros cards are not as tough as those 20s Cuban cards that we looked at earlier, but they're certainly not common or easy to find. Populations on these are probably somewhere in the 10 range, a little less, a little more. The other George Crow we have here, which I'm pointing to, looks like a similar image. He's with a different team, though, so it could have been airbrushed on the uniform. But this is the 1951 to 52 Dania, and that was another color issue. This one was printed after the three Tolateros issues. Dania was another Puerto Rican Winter League Baseball trading card issue. The Deniers are rarer and tougher to find than the Tolateros cards. There's only a few, maybe somewhere between 2 and 5 of each of these known, including George Crow. So the only two known George Crow pre-Major League Baseball cards. I'm not going to cover his Major League Baseball cards. Those are easily looked up in the vintage card catalog. So next player we're going to look at is going to be Rube Curry. So Rube Curry's Negro League career spanned from 1920 to 1932. He was a star pitcher. Began his Negro League career and spent the majority of his time with the Kansas City Monarchs from 1920 to 23, also 26, 28, and 32. So he kind of moved around with a number of different teams over the years, kind of back and forth. Also, Chicago American Giants 26 to 27, filling in that gap where he was not playing for the Monarchs. So, tall right handed curveballer with excellent control, Curry was one of the best pitchers of the 20s. After registering a 10-5 record in the Cuban Winter League, of 1923-24, he was a key pitcher on 4 consecutive pennant winners and pitched in all 4 of the World Series between the Negro, National League, and the Eastern Colored League. First as a member of the Hilldale staff, he pitched in 3 games in the 1924 series against the Kansas City Monarchs, getting a win and recording a brilliant 0.55 ERA in a losing effort. Continuing his autumn effectiveness in following years, he had his best series ever, earning 2 complete game victories to go with a 1.29 ERA as Hilldale defeated the Monarchs in a rematch to become the world champions of black baseball. Joining the Curry had pitched for 4 years with the Monarchs, concluding with their 1923 Negro National League Championship team, and then posted records of 10-12, 12-10, 12-7, and 14-7. So one of the best pitchers in black baseball during the 1920s, Rube Curry, and played for some of the biggest winning teams, Kansas City Monarchs and Hilldale Daisies. So let's see what we have for cards of Rube Curry here. Looks like we have 3 again. So this is going to be similar to the Rogelio Crespo cards. So the first one we're going to look at here, where my finger's pointing, this is the 1923-24 Beacon Rube Curry. That was the Beacon Cuban tobacco issue. A real photograph of Curry there. Nice image from the a little below the waist up. And again, Beacon is very rare. Next to that, we have the 1923-24 La Moda. Excuse me. La Moda was a variation of the Beacon series. It was another company in Cuba that printed these. They shared the same, excuse me, they share the same photographs, just different advertising on the back there. And the third Rube Curry is going to be here. The image is a little bit light on this one, but it's a 1923-24 Tomas Gutierrez, the Diaz Cigarettes Cuban Tobacco Company again. Sorry, just trying to get over a cold this weekend, and A little bit of a coughing fit. Okay, next player we're going to talk about is a big-time Hall of Famer, Ray Dandridge. So Dandridge was a Negro League star from the early to mid 1930s, all the way through the 1950 era. Unfortunately, he never got to play Major League Baseball. By the time his career, by the time integration happened, he was sort of nearing the end of his career. And he, even though the opportunity did present itself, Dandridge felt that he was well past his prime at this point, and it seems like didn't want to take a major league job away from a younger ball player that might be able to perform at a higher level at the stage of his career that he was at. So Dandridge, Negro League career, we said 1933 to 49. He played primarily third base, like I said, but also a little bit of second base, shortstop, and outfield. Began his career in the Negro Leagues with the Nashville Elite Giants, 1933. Newark Dodgers, 33 to 35, and then the Newark Eagles, which would be his main Negro League team, from 1936 to 39, as well as 1942 and 1944. In the some summers, he would spend time in overseas in Latin America, played in the Venezuelan League in 1939, the Mexican League in 40 to 43, and 45 to 48, as well as Cuban winter leagues. His last Negro League season in the U.S. was 1949 with the New York Cubans, and he would get an opportunity and played 5 seasons of professional baseball in the U.S. minor leagues from 49 to 53. Like I said, never made it up to the majors, though. So Dandridge joined Willie Wells, Dick Say, and Mule Suttles to form the $1 million infield of the Newark Eagles during the late 1930s. He's often called the best third baseman never to make the major leagues. Dandridge was a good hitter for average, wrapping the ball at a 370 clip during the 1944 season while leading the league in hits, runs, and total bases. Dandridge continued as a star player with Newark for the remainder of the 30s, hitting .354 and .305 his first 2 seasons with the Eagles. During his time in the Negro National League, he compiled a lifetime .355 average in league play and played in 3 All-Star games, posting a lofty .545 batting average for the Classics. Altogether, the shorthanded third baseman played 11 seasons in Cuba, showing a .282 lifetime batting average. During most of the 40s, Dandridge played his summers mainly in Mexico, recording averages of .367, .310, and .354. In 1949, at age 35, he was signed by the New York Giants organization, Major League Baseball, and he was assigned to the AAA Farm Club at Minneapolis. Upon arriving there, the right-handed hitting Dandridge promptly compiled averages of .363, .311, and .324. A great team man, Dandridge won the league Most Valuable Player honors in 1950 when he led the Millers to the league championship. So, needless to say, extremely accomplished Negro League, Latin American, and even U.S. minor leagues career. So Dandridge, we've got a number of cards we're going to look at today. He's got about 7 or 8, so the one primarily people collect for Dandridge, as far as being a true rookie card, would be this 1945 to 46 Caramello Deportivo. That was a caramel candy company from Cuba. He was playing with the Marianao team in Cuba during the Winter League season that year. And these caramellos were put out. They're black and white player images. The card numbers in the front and side of baseball there, as you can see. The back would have a brief player bio advertising for Caramello Deportivo, and it's in Spanish. The caramellos are more reasonable to obtain as compared to the 20s Cuban issues. Certainly nothing like Topps or Bowman, in the U.S., but it is possible to pick up a Dandridge rookie such as this one. Dandridge also had another 1945 issue. This one's extremely rare. Maybe only a couple of copies exist. I've never seen one of these in person before. But this is from one of his Mexican Summer League seasons, 1945, as we said. They printed these in sort of a duotone color, so it's in basically red and black and white. And Dandridge is in a batting pose. Like I said, never come across any of these cards. Okay, next one. Next one I actually don't have an image of, and that's probably because I have it notated here as being an unconfirmed card. But in the original checklist, there's a 1946 to 47 Almanaque, which is another Cuban baseball issue. Very rare, much tougher to find than the Caramello Deportivos. In the Almanaque, there's a number of cards that are cataloged and that do exist for sure. The Danridge, I don't believe has been seen, so it's either maybe it was short printed, extremely rare, or maybe was never produced. So not sure about that, but that's a 46-47 Almanaque. We do have a 46-47 Dandridge here. This is also a Caramello Deportivo. This is the second year issue. They did set in 45 and then again in 46 to cover the Cuban Winter League season. So this is the second year, which is tougher to find and more scarce than the first year, the 45 rookie Dandridge. And this is another completely different image for Ray there. Okay, next one is another Cuban Winter League issue for Dandridge. This one is from a set called Cibo y Cia. That's from 1949 to 50 as well. These are smaller, basically square type cards. They look kind of like the Bagor chocolate series from 1930, where they produced some major league players as well. These are quite scarce. Populations on these probably somewhere in the 5 to 10 range. And Dandridge is the biggest name in that set. I believe he's the only Hall of Famer in there. Okay, next one we're going to look at is not really a card, but these are very much oversized. These are more like premiums. So these are a black and white photograph. They're called Alerta Premiums. They're also from 1949 to 50. Also from the Cuban Winter League season, where Dandridge again was playing with Mariano. These are roughly about 9 by 12 or so, and they're on sort of a slick, glossy type of stock. And Alerta was a newspaper or periodical, and wrote stories about baseball in Cuba. And there's an Antonio Albuquerque believed that he was the founder of the Alerta company. He's got a little portrait of his face there on the bottom. And some of the backs of these will also have stamps with the Alerta Premium stamp on the back as well. Many of them are blank. These are out there, not easy to find for sure, but populations I would have to guess probably somewhere in the 10 or so, a little more, a little bit less. So 49.50 Alerta Premium Ray Dandridge, another different image. And then the last Dandridge we're going to look at is this 1952 to 53 Victoria. Let's see if we can get it better. That's a little better. 52-53 Victoria. Victoria was another Cuban tobacco issue. Quite rare set. Populations on these are more like in the 5 to 10 range. And again, showing Dandridge. This is really at the tail end of his career with the Mariano Ball Club in Cuban Winter League ball. So 1952-53, Victoria Dandridge. So that's going to wrap up today's episode on the Negro League baseball card review. I hope you found some interesting items and maybe discovered some new players and new cards to look out for. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.